Nobody noticed when the lights flickered on deck 47. Down here, things flickered all the time. Pipes leaked. Panels sparked. The lower decks of a celestial mandate were held together by patches and prayers, and Danny Reeves knew every broken piece by heart. He pushed his mop across the metal floor, cleaning fluid mixing with coolant that dripped from an overhead junction. 3 years of this. 3 years of mopping floors on a ship full of aliens who looked at him like he was furniture. Maybe less than furniture. Furniture served a purpose they understood. Danny was human. That meant he was primitive. Backward. Good for cleaning up messes and nothing else. The ship shuddered hard enough to knock him against the wall. His mop clattered to the floor. That was no ordinary vibration. Danny had felt engines die before. He had felt reactors fail on 3 different colony worlds. This felt exactly the same. Something was very wrong. Far above, on the bridge that Danny had never seen and would never be allowed to see, Admiral Voston gripped his command chair as his flagship went dark. The Silvari commander had served the Galactic Union for 40 years. He had fought in 11 major conflicts. He had never felt fear like this. "Report," he demanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Primary reactor cascade failure," an officer shouted. "We are losing all systems." The view screen showed what Voston already knew. Kreth raiders surrounded them. 6 warships with weapons locked. The ambush in the void corridor had been perfect. The Union flagship was crippled, drifting, helpless. Engineering, status, the Admiral commanded. The holographic image of Chief Engineer Telex appeared. The Malvani was brilliant, everyone said so. He had 17 advanced degrees. His species had been building starships while humans were still living in caves. His multiple eyes blinked with stress as he delivered the news. "The reactor has suffered total cascade failure, Admiral. The damage is beyond field repair. We require a full dock overhaul. We do not have a dock. We have 6 hours of backup power and enemies circling us like predators." "I am aware, Admiral. I am stating facts." Voston closed the channel. Around him, officers moved with desperate efficiency. Weapons offline. "Su offline. Envin offline." They were a corpse floating in space. On deck 47. Danny felt another shudder run through the ship. He left his mop and started walking. He did not know why. Instinct, maybe. The same instinct that had kept him alive on Kepler's Folly when the terraforming equipment failed. The same instinct that made him rebuild atmosphere processors from scrap while everyone around him died. He reached a maintenance access panel and pressed his hand against it. The vibration was wrong, not the random chaos of total failure. There was a pattern, a feedback loop. Something was cycling back on itself, preventing restart. Danny knew that feeling. He had fixed it before with nothing but wire and desperation that he started moving toward engineering. Crew members rushed past him without seeing him. Aliens with blue skin, aliens with scales, aliens with too many limbs. All of them panicked. None of them looked at the human janitor. Danny reached the engineering section and stopped at the security barrier. Drones floated in front of him, red lights blinking. Access denied. Maintenance personnel not authorized. Through the transparent barrier, Danny could see inside. Telex and his team crowded around holographic displays, arguing in languages Danny did not understand. But he understood the schematics they were looking at. He understood them perfectly. The tertiary coolant system had created a feedback loop. Energy was cycling back instead of flowing forward. The reactor was not destroyed. It was trapped, locked in a loop that kept it from restarting. Danny had seen this exact problem on colony equipment a dozen times. The solution was simple if you knew where to look. He tried the comm panel on the wall. "Engineering, this is maintenance worker Danny Reeves on deck 47. I can see your reactor problem. The tertiary coolant system is creating a feedback loop in that the channel cut off. Non-essential personnel communications were being filtered during the emergency." His message went nowhere. Danny stepped in front of an officer rushing past. A Vorlon with silver scales and 4 arms. "Excuse me, I need to speak to someone in engineering. I know what is wrong with the reactor." The Vorlon looked at him with open disgust. "Remove yourself from my path, human. Please, I can help." The coolant system is you are a janitor. You clean floors. Return to your duties before I report you for interference. The Vorlin pushed past. Danny stood alone in the corridor, surrounded by rushing bodies, invisible to all of them. Above, on the bridge, a Kreth transmission arrived. Admiral Voston watched the enemy commander appear on screen. Scaled face, yellow eyes, teeth designed for tearing. Surrender your navigation charts, Admiral. Give us the routes to your colony systems, and your crew will live. Refuse, and we will cut open your ship and take them from your corpse. Voston said nothing. Those charts would doom 100 worlds. Millions of lives. You have 1 hour, the Kreth said, and the transmission ended 1 hour. 6 enemy ships. No weapons. No shields. No engines out on Deck 47. Danny Reeves stared at the security barrier blocking his path to engineering. He could save them all. He knew he could. But nobody would listen to a human janitor that he was invisible. He was nothing, but he was not going to let this ship die without trying. Danny knew only one person on this ship who had ever treated him like a person. Her name was Mira, a young Pelani who worked in the medical bay. She had green skin and kind eyes, and she had once bandaged his hand when he cut on a broken panel. He ran to find her. The medical bay was chaos. Crew members injured during the ambush filled every bed. Doctors moved between them, their hands glowing with healing technology that still amazed Danny even after 3 years. Mira saw him and hurried over. "Danny, what are you doing here? You should be at your station. I need to talk to someone important. Someone who will listen." "About what?" "The reactor. I know how to fix it." Myra's eyes widened. She looked around quickly, then pulled him into a supply closet. "Danny, that is not something you should say. The engineers are working on it. The engineers are wrong. I have seen this failure before. On Kepler's Folly, on New Brisbane, on Grayson's Hope. Colony equipment failed the same way. The tertiary coolant creates a feedback loop. You have to manually bypass it at the junction point. It takes 5 minutes if you know what you are doing. Danny, I believe you, but they will not listen. You are human. Then help me get to someone who will." Mira hesitated. Then she nodded. "Lieutenant Commander Sealis. She is the Admiral's aide. She comes to Medical Bay for her medication every shift. She will be here soon." They waited. The ship creaked around them. Danny could feel the backup power straining, the systems slowly dying. Time was running out. Sealis arrived 15 minutes later. She was Silvari, like the Admiral. Tall, elegant, with skin that shifted colors based on her mood. Right now it was pale blue. "Fear." Danny stepped in front of her. "Lieutenant Commander, I need to speak with you about the reactor failure." Sealis looked at him. Her skin shifted to gray. Annoyance. "Who are you?" "Danny Reeves. Maintenance worker. I know what is wrong with the reactor and how to fix it." "You are the janitor from Deck 47. "Yes. And you believe you understand the reactor better than Chief Engineer Telex and his team of specialists." "In this case, yes. The tertiary coolant system has created a feedback loop. I have seen this exact failure on colony terraforming equipment. The solution is simple. Manual bypass at the junction point. The reactor will restart immediately." Sealis studied him for a long moment. Danny felt hope rising in his chest. Then her skin turned dark purple. "Contempt. Return to your duties, mammal. Leave engineering to engineers." "Lieutenant Commander, please. I am not lying. I worked terraforming equipment for 15 years. I rebuilt atmosphere processors, water purifiers, power systems. I know machines. You know, primitive human machines. This is a Galactic Union flagship. The technology is beyond your comprehension. Energy is energy. Feedback loops are feedback loops. The physics do not change because the machine is bigger." Sealis leaned close. Her breath smelled like flowers and acid. "Listen carefully, human. Your species has been part of the Union for less than 50 years. My species has been building starships for 12,000 years. You clean floors. That is your purpose. That is the limit of your value. If you speak to me again, I will have you confined to the brig for interfering with emergency operations." She walked away. Danny stood frozen. Mira touched his arm gently. "I am sorry, Danny. There has to be another way." He thought desperately. The Admiral. He needed to reach the Admiral directly. But how? The bridge was sealed. Communications were filtered. Security would never let a janitor through. Then he remembered something. The old maintenance comm channels. The ones built into the original ship design before the Union standardized everything. Nobody used them anymore. Nobody even remembered they existed. But Danny did. He had found one on Deck 47, hidden behind a panel he cleaned every week. I have an idea, he said to Ran. The corridors blurred around him. Crew members jumped out of his way, startled by the human sprinting through the ship like his life depended on it. Because it did. All their lives did. He reached Deck 47. He found the panel. Behind it, covered in dust and forgotten by everyone, was an ancient comm terminal. Danny had discovered it 6 months ago. He had spent hours learning how it worked, just out of curiosity. Now that curiosity might save them all, he activated the terminal. It hummed to life, screens flickering with old interface designs. He found a bridge channel. He opened it, and he started talking. Admiral Voston, this is Danny Reeves, maintenance worker on Deck 47. I know you have never heard of me. I know I am just a human janitor. But I need you to listen. I know how to fix your reactor. The tertiary coolant system has created a feedback loop. Manual bypass at the junction point will restart the reactor immediately. I have done this repair before on colony equipment. I can do it again. Please, let me help. Silence. Danny waited on the bridge. Admiral Voston stared at the communication panel. An obsolete channel nobody had used in decades. A human voice, calm and clear, offering salvation. Telex appeared on the hologram again. Admiral, we have exhausted all options. The reactor cannot be restarted. I recommend we prepare for surrender negotiations. Voston looked at his dying ship. He looked at his terrified crew. He thought about the 100 colony worlds that would burn if he handed over those charts. Then he thought about a human janitor who claimed he could fix what his best engineer could not. What did he have to lose? Admiral Voston had commanded starships for 4 decades. He had learned patience from experience. He had learned that good leaders listen to their experts and trust their training. Right now, his experts were telling him to die. Telex stood before him in holographic form, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly. Behind him, the engineering team worked frantically at terminals, running simulations that all ended the same way. Admiral, I have run every possible scenario. The cascade failure has damaged the primary coupling beyond repair. We cannot restart the reactor without replacing components we do not have. Then we are dead. Unless we surrender, yes. Voston stood slowly. His old bones ached. His hearts beat faster than they should. Around him, his bridge crew watched with the eyes of people who had already given up. The navigation charts contain the locations of every Union colony in the sector. Civilian worlds, farming communities, mining stations. If the Kreth have those charts, they will raid every one of them. I understand, Admiral. Millions will die. Yes. And you are telling me there is no alternative. Telex lowered his head. I am sorry, Admiral. I have done everything I can. The bridge was silent. Officers stared at their dark screens. The backup lights cast everything in dim red shadows. Outside, through the view screen, the Kreth ships waited like vultures. Then the ancient comm panel crackled. Everyone turned. That panel had not made a sound in 20 years. It should not even work anymore. A human voice filled the bridge. Calm, clear, impossible. Admiral Voston, this is Danny Reeves, maintenance worker on Deck 47. I know you have never heard of me. I know I am just a human janitor. But I need you to listen. I know how to fix your reactor. Voston walked toward the panel. His officers watched in confusion. The tertiary coolant system has created a feedback loop. Manual bypass at the junction point will restart the reactor immediately. I have done this repair before on colony equipment. I can do it again. Please, let me help. The voice stopped. Staticist softly. Telex's hologram flickered with what might have been laughter. Admiral, this is absurd. A human maintenance worker claiming to understand reactor engineering? He probably cannot even read our technical language. He described the exact problem you have been unable to solve. A lucky guess. or he overheard something. Humans are clever that way, repeating what they hear without understanding it. Voston turned to face his chief engineer. You have run every scenario. You have no solution. You are asking me to surrender this ship and doom 100 worlds. Because there is no alternative. This human says there is. He is a janitor. He cleans floors. And you're the greatest engineer in the fleet. Yet your floors are clean and your reactor is dead. Telex's eyes widened. Admiral, with respect, you cannot seriously consider. I can consider whatever I wish. I am the Admiral. The reactor chamber is flooded with radiation. The temperature exceeds safe limits for all known species. Even if this human knew what he was doing, which he does not, he would die before completing any repair. Let him decide that for himself. Admiral, Voston slammed his fist against the command console. The sound echoed across the bridge. Every officer froze. I have served the Union my entire life. I have followed protocol. I have trusted experts. And now those experts are telling me to surrender, to hand over charts that will kill millions because they cannot fix a machine. He pointed at Telex's hologram. You had your chance. You failed. If you cannot fix it, then let him do it himself. Silence. Telex stared at the Admiral. His skin paled with shock. You are serious. Security, escort the human maintenance worker to engineering. Give him whatever he needs. Admiral, this is insanity. Perhaps, but it is my insanity to command. And right now, a janitor with a theory is more useful than an engineer with excuses. The hologram flickered off. Telex was gone. Voston looked at his bridge crew. Young officers, most of them. They had never seen their admiral lose his composure. They had never heard him shout. If this works, he said quietly, remember this moment. Remember that salvation came from the one person we all ignored. He returned to his command chair and sat down heavily. And if it does not work, we die anyway. At least we will die having tried everything. On deck 47, Danny Reeves heard footsteps approaching. Security officers appeared around the corner. For a moment, he thought they were coming to arrest him. Then the lead officer spoke. Maintenance worker Reeves, the Admiral has ordered us to escort you to engineering. You will have full access to the reactor chamber. Danny felt his heart stop, then start again, faster than before. He listened. He did. Follow us. Danny grabbed his maintenance kit, the one he always carried. Old tools. Human tools. Nothing fancy, nothing advanced. Just what he needed to fix things that broke. They started walking in 30 minutes, he would either save everyone or prove the aliens right about humans. Either way, he was done being invisible. The engineering section fell silent when Danny walked in. 30 aliens stopped what they were doing. 30 pairs of eyes, some with multiple pupils, turned to stare at the human janitor carrying a battered toolkit. Telex stepped forward. His skin was dark with anger. This is a mistake. Admiral Voston has lost his mind. Danny ignored him. He walked past the chief engineer, past the staring crew, past the gleaming consoles with their advanced technology. He stopped at the observation window overlooking the reactor chamber. Through the glass, he could see the core. Dark, cold, dead, and no, not dead. Trapped. He could almost feel it waiting. Open the chamber, Danny said. A Malvani engineer laughed. The chamber is flooded with radiation. The temperature is 400 degrees. You will die in seconds. Open it anyway. Telex grabbed his arm. Listen to me, human. I do not know what story you told the Admiral, but you are about to kill yourself for nothing. This reactor is beyond repair. Accept that and step away. Danny looked at the alien's hand on his arm. Then he looked up at Telex's many eyes. I watched 17 people die on Kepler's Folly because nobody knew how to fix the atmosphere processor. I buried them with my own hands. Then I fixed the processor anyway, because giving up was not an option. He pulled his arm free. I watched the colony on New Brisbane collapse because the water purification system failed during a dust storm. Everyone said it was impossible to repair. I repaired it in 3 hours using parts from a broken transport. He started removing his uniform shirt. I have seen machines die. I have seen people die. I have learned that sometimes the only difference between living and dying is finding someone too stupid to accept that death is certain. Under his shirt, his back was covered in scars. Radiation burns, old and deep, spreading across his skin like a map of pain. The engineering crew stared. Even Telex stepped back. "Those are radiation scars," someone whispered. "Kepler's folly," Danny said. "The processor leaked while I was inside. I finished the repair anyway." He picked up his toolkit, opened the chamber. Nobody moved to stop him. The door hissed open. Heat blasted out, carrying the sharp smell of burnt metal and ozone. Radiation alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across every panel. Danny walked inside. The reactor core loomed above him. In normal operation, it glowed blue-white with contained energy. Now it was gray and silent. Around it, conduits and pipes twisted like metal veins. The air shimmered with heat. Danny's skin started to burn immediately. His lungs ached with every breath. He had maybe 5 minutes before the radiation killed him. Maybe less. He started working. Through the observation window, Telex watched with horrified fascination. What is he doing? That junction point is not accessible without specialized equipment. Danny reached into a gap between two conduits. His arm scraped against hot metal. He felt skin tear. He ignored it. His fingers found the coupling. The tertiary coolant junction. Exactly where he knew it would be. He is accessing the tertiary coolant system manually, an engineer said in disbelief. That is not in any repair protocol. Because it is impossible, Telex snapped. The junction is shielded. It requires magnetic manipulation tools. Inside the chamber, Danny pulled out his oldest tool. A simple wrench, worn smooth by years of use. Human-made. Primitive by union standards. He wedged it into the coupling. He twisted. Metal groaned. Something shifted. "The coupling is moving," someone shouted. "How is that possible?" Danny twisted again. Harder. His muscle screamed. His vision blurred from the heat. The coupling snapped free. Immediately, the feedback loop broke. Danny could feel it, the change in pressure, the shift in the reactor's silent heartbeat. Energy that had been cycling uselessly now had somewhere to go. He reconnected the coupling in the correct sequence. Bypass complete, the reactor hummed. Then it roared. Blue-white light exploded from the core. Power surged through conduits that had been dead for hours. The entire engineering section blazed with renewed energy. Alarms changed tone. No longer warnings of failure. Now alerts of success. Danny staggered toward the exit. His skin was blistered. His eyes watered. Every breath hurt, but he was smiling. The door opened. He stumbled through. Engineers rushed forward to catch him before he collapsed. Telex stood frozen, staring at the glowing reactor through the observation window. His engineering team erupted in cheers around him. "Reactor online," someone shouted. All systems responding. Power levels at 90% and rising. On the bridge, Admiral Voston watched his screens come alive. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. Engines rumbled to life. His communications officer turned with wide eyes. "Admiral, the reactor is fully operational. The human did it." Voston allowed himself a small smile. "The first in hours. Target the Kreth command vessel. All batteries. Fire when ready." The celestial mandate was alive again, and the Kreth were about to learn what that meant. The Kreth commander had been celebrating. His crew had already begun dividing the expected plunder. Navigation charts worth more than gold. A captured Union flagship. Prisoners to sell or ransom. Then the celestial mandate lit up like a newborn star. Shields snapped into existence across the hull. Weapon systems powered up, their distinctive hum echoing through space on every scanner frequency. The engines roared to life, pushing the massive ship forward with sudden, violent acceleration. "What is happening?" the Kreth commander screamed. Their reactor was dead. Before anyone could answer, the Union flagship fired. Concentrated energy beams sliced through the Kreth formation. 2 Raider ships exploded in the first volley. A third lost its engines and began to drift. The remaining 3 tried to scatter, but they had positioned themselves for an easy kill, not for a fight. Admiral Voston stood at his command console. watching the battle unfold. His crew moved with renewed energy. Fear had become fury. Desperation had become determination. Kreth command vessel attempting to flee, his tactical officer reported. Pursue. Disable their engines. I want them alive. The Celestial Mandate chased its would-be killers through the void corridor. Within minutes, the Kreth command ship was crippled, caught in the flagship's tractor beams. Powerless and defeated, the Voston opened a channel to the enemy vessel. The Kreth commander appeared on screen. His yellow eyes were wide with terror. His scales had gone pale. This is impossible. Your ship was dead. We scanned it ourselves. You scanned wrong, Voston said calmly. You will surrender your vessel and crew. You will face Union justice for acts of piracy and attempted seizure of protected territory. How? How did you restore power? Voston smiled. It was not a friendly smile. A human fixed our reactor. The Kreth commander stared in disbelief. Then the screen went dark as Union Marines began their boarding operation to in the medical bay. Danny Reeves drifted between consciousness and dreams. Union medical technology worked to repair his radiation-damaged cells. Nanobots crawled through his bloodstream. Fixing what should have been fatal injuries, he heard voices around him, speaking in languages he mostly understood. The human should be dead. This level of radiation exposure is always fatal. Humans are more resistant than we thought. Their cells repair themselves at unusual rates. Look at his existing scars. He has survived this before. How is that possible? Their world, Earth, it is a death world. High radiation from their star. Constant environmental threats. They evolved to survive damage that would kill any of us. Danny opened his eyes. The ceiling above him was bright white. Medical equipment beeped steadily. Mira stood beside his bed, her green face showing relief. You are awake, she said. Did it work? The reactor is at full power. The Kreth are defeated. You saved everyone, Danny. He tried to sit up. His body screamed in protest. He lay back down. How long was I in there? For minutes and 37 seconds. Danny laughed. It hurt, but he laughed anyway. Felt longer. The medical bay doors opened. Danny expected a doctor. Instead, Admiral Voston walked in. The entire medical staff froze. The Admiral never came to the lower decks. Never visited patients personally. Officers straightened. Doctors bowed their heads. Voston walked past all of them. He stopped at Danny's bed. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. I have commanded this ship for 11 years, the Admiral said finally. In that time, I have given awards for bravery, citations for excellence, promotions for distinguished service. He paused. I have never given any of those things to a maintenance worker. There's a first time for everything, Danny said weakly. Indeed there is. The Admiral's skin shifted to a color Danny had not seen before. Respect. You knew you would be injured. Perhaps killed. You went into that chamber anyway. Someone had to. My chief engineer has 17 advanced degrees. He could not solve this problem. You solved it with a wrench in 4 minutes. Different kind of education, Admiral. I learned by doing. By failing. By fixing things because nobody else was going to do it. Voston nodded slowly. Humans have been part of the Union for less than 50 years. We assigned your species to labor positions because we believed you lacked the sophistication for technical work. I know, we were wrong. Those 3 words hung in the air. Simple words. Words that Danny had never expected to hear from anyone on this ship, let alone its commander. Rest now, the Admiral said. When you have recovered, we will speak again. I believe the Union owes your species an apology. And I believe you have earned far more than a mop. He turned and walked out. Danny lay back against his pillow. His body hurt everywhere. His skin felt like fire. His lungs ached with every breath, but he was smiling. For the first time in 3 years, someone had seen him. 3 weeks later, the Grand Assembly Hall on Starbase Unity was packed with representatives from 40 different species. Ambassadors, military leaders, scientists, and politicians filled every seat. Holographic displays carried the event to 1,000 worlds across the Union. Nobody knew why Admiral Voston had requested this assembly. The official announcement mentioned only a matter of fleet importance. Danny stood in a small room behind the main stage, wearing a new uniform. Not the gray coveralls of a maintenance worker. Something better. Something with rank insignia on the shoulders. His hand was shaking. Mira stood with him, adjusting his collar. "You look nervous." "I am about to speak in front of the most important people in the galaxy." Nervous does not cover it. You walked into a reactor chamber filled with radiation. This should be easy. The reactor could not judge me. These people can. The door opened. An officer nodded at them. "It is time." Danny walked onto the stage. The assembly hall stretched before him. Thousands of faces turned in his direction. Lights blazed from every angle. Cameras floated in the air, capturing his image for broadcast across civilized space. Admiral Voston stood at the central podium. His uniform was immaculate, covered in medals and ribbons from decades of service. He gestured for Danny to stand beside him. 3 weeks ago, the Admiral began, his voice carrying through the silent hall. "My flagship was crippled in an ambush. The primary reactor failed. My chief engineer, one of the finest in the fleet, declared the damage beyond repair. We face surrender or death." He paused, letting the words settle. "A human maintenance worker contacted my bridge through a communication channel so old that nobody remembered it existed. He told me he could fix the reactor. He told me the solution was simple." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My officers laughed. My engineer called it impossible. I was advised to ignore the human and prepare for surrender. Voston turned to look at Danny. "Instead, I told my engineer that if he could not fix the reactor, he should let the human do it himself." The hall fell completely silent. Danny Reeves entered a reactor chamber filled with lethal radiation and temperatures that would kill any known species within minutes. He bypassed the feedback loop using hand tools and knowledge gained from 15 years of survival on failed colony worlds. He restarted our reactor in 4 minutes and 37 seconds. The Admiral faced the assembly again. "We have treated humans as primitives. We assigned them labor positions because we believed they lacked sophistication. We measured their value by our standards and found them wanting." He raised his voice. "We were fools." Gasps echoed through the hall. Nobody spoke to the assembly this way. Humans come from a world we would classify as deadly. High radiation, extreme temperature variations, predators on every continent, constant natural disasters. They evolved not despite these challenges, but because of them. Their bodies healed damage that would kill us. Their minds solved problems that our technology cannot. He gestured at Danny. "This man is not sophisticated by our standards. He does not have advanced degrees. He cannot quote theoretical engineering principles. But when our greatest experts failed, he walked in a fire and saved 2,000 lives with nothing but experience and determination." Admiral Voston reached into his uniform and pulled out a small medal. Gold, shaped like a reactor core, with the Union symbol at its center. The Union Engineering Citation. The highest honor our fleet can bestow for technical achievement. In the history of the Union, it has been awarded 312 times. He turned to Danny. Today, for the first time, it is awarded to a human. He pinned the medal to Danny's chest. The hall remained silent for a long moment. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then a dozen. Then hundreds. The applause grew until it filled the entire assembly hall, a thundering wave of sound that seemed to shake the walls. Danny stood frozen, overwhelmed. These were the same species who had ignored him for 3 years. The same officials who had classified humans as primitive laborers. Now, they were standing for him. When the applause finally faded, Admiral Voston spoke again. "The Union is hereby establishing a new position. Special Technical Advisor to Fleet Command. This position will be filled by Danny Reeves. His role will be to identify solutions that our conventional thinking overlooks." Danny found his voice at last. "Thank you, Admiral. But I have one request." "Name it." Danny smiled. The same smile he had worn in the reactor chamber. The smile of a man who had nothing left to lose. "I want to keep my mop. You never know when things will get messy." Laughter rolled through the assembly hall. Real laughter, the kind shared between equals. Admiral Voston nodded. "Agreed." Later, as the crowds dispersed and the cameras shut down, Danny stood alone at a viewport overlooking the starbase. Ships moved silently in the distance, carrying beings from 100 different worlds. Mira found him there. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Strange. For 3 years, nobody saw me. Now everyone does. You earned it." Danny shook his head. "I did what anyone would do. I fixed what was broken. Not anyone. You. That is the point." He looked at the medal on his chest. "Such a small thing. Such a heavy weight. Do you know what I learned on those colony worlds?" he said quietly. "The universe does not care who you are. It does not care about your degrees, or your species, or your status. When things break, they break for everyone equally. The only question is who will fix them." He turned away from the viewport. Humans learned that lesson a long time ago. Maybe it is time the galaxy learned it too. He walked toward his new future, leaving the mop behind, but only for now.